So I currently have the Novation Launchkey. I think it's the Mark II version. I believe there's a Mark III version out now. And this has been really great for me, and it's worked really well. It's got those velocity sensitive keys, which is really important. Make sure you get those velocity sensitive keys. No, not that kind of velocity. I'm talking about it senses how hard you're pressing on the keys. It's a little bit different than just volume. It is volume, but it's also, it gives a different character and tone to your notes. So you can see here with this keyboard, if I press down softly, it's pretty soft versus if I press down very hard. Big difference. And so that allows you to create more human-like performances because each note you're playing isn't going to be exactly the same. That's going to sound very robotic. So having a MIDI keyboard controller helps you make more realistic, more pleasant sounding music. You got pitch and mod wheels over here. And these are really, really come in handy. They're really cool. Number one, you have modulation. So a lot of times this, you can, both of these you can, at least the mod wheel, you can tie it into a plugin in your DAW, and you can have it control a certain feature. Most of the time it's controlling like the vibrato of a sound of a synth. And so this is really cool to automate, right? Especially during like maybe a melody or a lead sound you're playing, certain notes that may be held out longer. You can pull up the wheel and you can create some vibrato or other cool modulation effects, which is really hard to draw in, right? So if we were to play something here, so you can see here as I move up the mod wheel, you hear the vibrato go up. So that's really cool. So we could record that if we wanted to. All right, you can kind of see here in Logic how the vibrato is changing over time there with the mod wheel. We can type, hit the A key here. Actually, we want to hit the A key and we're selected on this window. And we can see, first off, the note velocity here. So you can see there's some different velocities that were played in there that we talked about. Then we also got the modulation here. So we can see the modulation. So, right, you could draw this in if you wanted to, but it's not going to be quite as musical as this. You can see how it's a lot curvier and less perfect versus if you just like draw it in and have like a straight line through here. So it gives it a little bit more character, makes it feel a little bit more human and lifelike and realistic. And you also got the pitch wheel here, so you can slide up to other notes, pitches up or down, and this is really cool, especially great if you're trying to emulate the sounding of an electric guitar. So you can also hear it sounds really cool on synths too. So let's see if we can find something cool that sounds here. So you can hear the pitch went up there. It can really be really fun too at like the beginning of a note. So it just gives you a lot more flexibility, and it's really cool how you can add that in. So now for a real world example, you can hear how I use the pitch and modulation wheels on my MIDI keyboard in my song Midnight Hope on a guitar lead, which is actually a synth lead that I tried to make sound like an electric guitar. So you can check that out now. So let's go to the guitar now, because it's not actually a guitar, because I can't actually play the guitar, as you could probably tell. I got a MIDI keyboard controller, and this is something I don't typically use, just being honest, but other artists like this, and it's that you can control your plugins directly with the controls on your MIDI keyboard. I'll show you what I'm talking about here. So here's our like synth interface. So say we want to control the cutoff, I can like map this. So I can do right click, and we can do MIDI learn. MIDI learn. So move the control on your MIDI controller that you want to assign to this parameter. And this isn't just Syntronic. A lot of different software synths let you do this. So I could use one of these pan pots here, or I can use one of these sliders here. So I'll use the slider here. So I'll move this, and now that controls the cutoff. You can see it controls the cutoff. So if you want to feel more like you're engaged with the mixing process, we can do that. So we can control the cutoff over time here. It's a lot better than drawing it in. Again, it adds more of that human, realistic control there. So let's try recording this. First, we'll hear how this sounds. So it gives you a lot more subtle control. So if we chord this. All right, so again, we can click on this and we can go to, I guess this is our, what we just did with the cutoff automation. Right, maybe we want to adjust that a little bit, but here you can see this is really cool. And maybe you don't want to do those specific moves because I just did that on the spot, but it shows you what you can do. And you can do that with any parameter, right? It doesn't just have to be the cutoff. You can come in here, any one of these controls, I could do that. We've also got these drum pads here. So it's also got these drum pads here. So it's a different way of playing the drums, right? If you wanted to play the drums and you wanted to like play on your keys, that's fine too. That's the way I've done it for a long time. But it's kind of nice having them all here. It's a little bit more in one little space. It's a little bit easier to play than having to like stretch out to play different drum hits, especially when you want to have this faster drum pattern. So So that's just a really cool, different way of playing the drums, and that might be more comfortable for you and get you better results, which is another reason why having this MIDI keyboard controller is great. So if you're thinking of getting a MIDI keyboard controller, the Novation Launchkey 49 key is really great.